Hello, and welcome back to the Quantum Health Connection podcast. I'm your host, Vanessa Baldwin, with my incredible co host, Heather Crimson. And today we have a fantastic guest we're so excited to share with you, Jeff Gibson, who has a really great story about how light has changed his life. And now he has this mission to teach everybody about light. And he actually is the founder of the Light Environment Organization. He's the co-founder of the CRD Challenge, or the Circadian Rhythm Disruption Challenge. And he's also involved with his partners in Qntmly, who we've interviewed on this podcast as well, Daniel White and Lauren and Avi. So yeah, he's entangled with all these wonderful people in his life. So yeah, Jeff, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I've been looking forward to this podcast for quite a while. I loved it. Love it.
Awesome.
So lovely to hear. So, yeah, the welcome. And so, what's your origin story? How did you, excuse me, end up in a light infused world, so to speak?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, I think it was in about April of 2023, a buddy of mine that I play tennis with recommended that Tetragrammaton podcast to me with Cruz and Huberman. And apparently he'd been onto this whole, circadian lifestyle for the last 5 years. And all he said was just go check out this podcast. Huberman gets schooled in it. And I was a big fan of Huberman. I was always kind of into health and nutrition and stuff like that. But I was like, oh, that's interesting. I'd never heard of Jack Cruz before. And so I gave that podcast a listen, and 7 hours later, 6.5 hours later, that long podcast, my head was exploded. It was almost like a fountain of truth, you could say. Just you recognize something that is true when you hear it, right? And whenever I heard that podcast, it basically, for those that haven't heard it, it explains that most of the chronic health conditions that we're seeing on this planet are all due to the fact that we're circadian disrupted because of the increase in prevalence of blue light in our environment. Like, blue light never existed in candlelights for millennia. It's like a very minute amount, nothing enough to
Not this huge spike that we have now.
Exactly, yeah. And like incandescents, when we had those from the early 1900s to 1950s, totally fine. It wasn't until really the prevalence of computer screens and fluorescent lighting in our schools and office environments and things that it's causing all of these health concerns, like pretty much everything that we're seeing today. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that explains it, right? And hearing something like that you've never heard before, it seems like a conspiracy theory to believe it almost, doesn't it? It's like, if this were true, like at least a good percentage of our doctors, our trained medical doctors who are experts in health, would be talking about this. If this were true, more people would know about it. More people would be wearing these orange blue.
That's how I feel like the kickback is, not to interrupt you, but that I get back from people sometimes. And I say that, they're like, well, my doctor would know about it if it was important, or like things like that. I'm like, well, your doctor's not educated on that. They're educated on the pill for the ill. That you're literally, they're educated on the fact that you have this diagnosis and here's the medication that you should take for it. That's what they're educated on, unfortunately. So it's like, that's a whole paradigm shift in itself, right?
Exactly. Like Dr. Francisco Gutierrez told me when I talked to him, I love this phrase. He says, doctors are only trained in the two P's, pills or procedure.
Yeah,
That's it. They don't
that's a
teach
great
them
quote.
about homeopathy. They don't teach them about like red light therapy or anything. It doesn't make it to the curriculum. And in fact, it's been 27 years now since we discovered melanopsin, right? That protein in our eye that basically absorbs blue light and converts it to energy. And it's still not in the textbooks. So like,
That's crazy. Isn't that crazy? 27 years.
Probably another like 20 years or to 30 years before that actually happens, because that's, unfortunately, it's slow, right? Like, science is slow, right? So it gets out there before it actually reaches like mainstream. It's going to be some time,
it's slow for the
You're
things.
helping that. So
It's slow for the things that don't make them money. Like, don't you think, Vanessa and Heather, that if they discovered a new piece of our anatomy, like some, I don't know, like a cluster of cells on the tongue from which they could administer like sublingual medications, and that would be in the textbooks the next week. They would have them reprinted immediately because it would make more money. But for something like melanopsin that is causing us all these diseases that are going to cost them money if these disease rates start going down, it's not going to make the textbook. So yeah,
Really
we could go off on that tangent for an hour. But yeah, so after I heard that podcast, I was like, I don't know, what am I supposed to do with this information? They didn't tell me the X, Y, and the Z, like how to live a circadian lifestyle. They just said, this is the reason. So anyway, my buddy, I started talking to him about this podcast, and he told me it's simple, dude. The formula is so easy. Just get outside first thing without sunglasses in the morning each day, and then wear these red or orange lens blue blocking glasses. He told me which ones to get. I tried them out. So I told myself I'm going to put this to the test. I'm going to make it like a little challenge, so to speak. Like I'm going to do this for a month, right? I'm going to see. I'm going to prove my friend wrong because there's no way this can actually do anything. He swore to me that when he started doing these things over the course of several months, he started losing weight without working out. His anxiety levels went away. He started sleeping so much more deeply, and just he said he felt like a whole new person after like several months. And I'm like, yeah, right. That's just probably some anecdotal thing. It's the placebo effect or something. So I figured I'll put it to the test. And within the first week, I would say, like I was falling asleep so much earlier. I used to be a night owl and staying up till midnight or 1 a.m. on my computer screens, which were, in retrospect, is what was keeping me up. No person is a night owl. They just are drugged by the blue light, which keeps them up. So I started sleeping so much better. My anxiety levels started going down. And within probably a couple, 3 weeks, just weight started ticking off the scale slowly but surely every morning. I wasn't changing anything to my diet or exercise. In fact, the only thing that I was doing was exercising less because I used to go to the gym at like 8 p.m. after I get my son to bed and,
Wow.
come home at 10 p.m. and then stay up till midnight. But I was skipping my workouts and I was still losing weight. And so by the end of that month, I was like, oh my gosh, this is there's something here, like this is it. And then how does nobody else know about this? And I've been on a mission since that time to like, how do we convince friends and family to try this lifestyle? It's almost like trying to trying to talk your parents or brothers or sisters into wearing like orange lens glasses in the evening. Like you might as well be telling them to wear a tinfoil hat or just something insane. It seems stupid. Like, and that's what it seemed like to me before. I never got it. I know I worked in health. I've worked in healthcare information technology for the last uh, 15 years. I've worked 20 years in computers, and I've known that the night shift mode was on Windows before, but I was like, why would I want to turn my screen red? That's silly. Like, I didn't get it. I thought maybe it was something to do with eye strain, but
Yeah.
whatever. It's just one of those things you brush off. It's not important, but it's really the most important aspect of our lives is our light environment. And so I started off on this kind of journey of I almost had a calling, I guess. One night I was laying in bed trying to think like, how do I convince my friends and family to try this? I've tried talking to my family and stuff about it, and I could just tell I was getting these weird looks when I was wearing these orange lens glasses around them. Uh, and I was kind of almost like praying for an answer almost before bed. And just an idea came to me like a bolt of lightning for the CRD challenge. There has to be some type of social movement to where it's not just one person you're trying to convince to do this, but they would be joined into a community of hundreds, thousands of other people across the globe who are also doing this to give them that sense of community that I really didn't have. I had one other person I knew when I was starting this out that I could kind of lean on for advice, and that's it. And in my mind, I didn't know any other person on the planet that paid attention to their light environment or their circadian rhythm. So um, that idea came to me, and I'm like, I don't know how I'm ever going to make this work. I'm just an IT guy. I'm not an influencer in the health space. I don't know anybody in this space. And then I started getting in contact with more and more and more um, like kind of influencers in this space. And I don't even know how it all snowballed, but I pretty much know most of the kind of big names in this space who are all trying to get this message out now. And honestly, looking back, I don't know. It all just kind of snowballed. And I can't tell you exactly how it happened, but anybody that I would pitch the idea for the CRD challenge to would be so open, because we all want to spread this message, right? But most people just, they have their own lives, they have their own families, they have their own podcasts and things that they're working on. Nobody had the time or the inclination to put towards like developing the course material and building the community and all this stuff that it would take to make that happen. And then one day on a quantum biology collective like event, um, I started messaging Daniel White, and we set up a call, and I said, I have a kind of cool idea you might like. And I pitched him this idea, and he was like, oh my God. Like, he was looking for the next thing to kind of work on in his life story, I think. And this was it. And it just rang true to him, and he knew that there was something there. And we uh, worked together for 6 months straight after that. And we finally launched the CRD challenge in October of just last year. So 3 months ago. And it's been amazing. Like, we have a really great course content. It's basically like the tip of the iceberg. You're not going to learn every single thing that there possibly is to know about human health related to circadian biology, but it's the tip of the iceberg that honestly should be taught in grade schools all across this country and all across the planet, because it's the most important foundational element of our health that nobody pays attention to. And it will be someday. We know it will be taught as because it's the fundamental truth. But for now, it's like we need to. We felt the need to kind of like reduce the barrier to entry to get people in this space and have it not cost anything at all. So there's no um, preconceptions going up in their mind, where hesitancy because, oh, they're trying to sell me something. No, they're not. We're just trying to sell you the idea that you have the ability to transform your life entirely just by improving your light environment and starting to mitigate blue light as much as possible in the evening, and maybe change your light bulbs and make it a habit to take light breaks, and get outside first thing in the morning before you stare at your phone at full factory settings. All those simple and easy things that we know that we all kind of live this life in our daily life now. Most people just don't have any idea. And one of the cool things about the CRD challenge so far is just the stories that people have shared of their improved health. Like one lady's Parkinson's symptoms. She went to her doctor, and he had told her a couple months after she started doing this stuff that he can't classify her as having Parkinson's anymore. Her
That's
symptoms have
amazing.
gone away so much.
Wow.
There's another guy that his
Wait,
heart.
so just to
Yeah,
clarify for people,
yeah.
all that woman did was change her light environment and her Parkinson's symptoms improved, correct?
Light environment. Yeah, she improved her circadian rhythm, and that circadian rhythm is the foundation of health for all of humanity. I mean, if you think about the statistic for a second and just let it ring true, like before electric light, 1 in 3,000 people got cancer. And today, it's expected that in our lifetime, the lifetimes of everyone on this planet today, with the increasing prevalence of cancer, that 1 in 2 people will get cancer.
Wow, so sad.
It's
And it's
sad.
so obvious that we can't see it, right? It's so in our
Right.
face that we can't see it. And what I especially love so far about sorry to interrupt you, Jen, but
No.
your story is that what's so powerful and beautiful is you privileged curiosity. And even if it was like, well, let me prove my friend wrong, you still you still were willing to dip into the unknown and see what would happen, what can actually happen if I get out in the morning and wear my blue blockers. And then I also love how you said you were open to receive, a message from the powers
Source.
that be, right? That what can I do? What can I do with this information? And so that's just so beautiful. And then it kind of reminds me of like when you talk about people being that they can't believe it, but they'll wear sunglasses because they've been so conditioned. But this is so foreign that I think it creates that cognitive dissonance that's uncomfortable, right? And by creating the community, you created a safe place where people can be comfortable in a new experience where they're not the only one being the weirdo wearing the orange glasses or whatever it is, right? And they can find that community and safety, which is what we sometimes need. We either need to be so uncomfortable that we're seeking change or that we have permission to try something new and we're not feeling like somehow it's dangerous to be different, because that's can be an issue, right?
100%. Yeah, I mean, largely human beings are just social creatures. That
Mhm.
we just do what other people around us are doing.
Yeah.
We're much like, you know, just cattle or sheep or basically anything. We go where everybody else is doing. We do what everybody else is doing. We try to keep up with the Joneses. I don't know, all those things in life we do because of what other people are doing. And really, the way that this kind of light revolution is going to happen in our lifetimes that we're going to witness, because all of this is going to be common knowledge, and it's just a matter of how much time. 5 years, maybe that's too aggressive. 10 years, 20 years, definitely within 20 years, right? This will all be common knowledge, but how do we get there? It's not going to come from our medical system, which is largely influenced by the pharmaceutical industry, because sadly, this sounds conspiratorial, but they want more sick people because that makes them more money. So introducing some type of thing with, you know, having Apple turn all their devices red at night automatically or anything like that, there's going to be big money against pushing against those type of things to
Yeah, but they don't want
happen.
that to happen because you're going to spend less time on TikTok and whatever else you're on, because then you're
Exactly.
not going to be interested in it as much. I mean, that's the truth of it.
I spend much less time on my phone now that
It's
the phone's
less,
red at night. Like I have no desire to, because the blue light's not hitting my dopamine receptors
not
anymore.
as addicting. It's just what
Yeah,
it is. And you're also outside in sunlight more, so you're feeding that addiction through sunlight because we make the same endorphins when we're in sunlight. So you're getting that all when you're outside during the day. So then you don't really need that stimulus as much, right? You're not so deficient in it, so you don't need that. So yeah, but
yeah. It's like the only way that we can honestly get there is this has to be what we got to do is just have a grassroots movement where we spread this light, this brush fire, so to speak, just one person at a time or thousands of people at a time, until the point where people are social creatures. They start hearing about, oh, my neighbor Sally lost 20 pounds just from wearing blue blockers and getting outside in the morning. Or, once it becomes more uh, posted on Facebook among their community or things like that, where it's more commonly in the zeitgeist, then it's going to catch on. I think once it reaches a critical mass of, who knows, we're probably less than 1% of the people realize how 1% of the people on the planet, way less than that, realize how important circadian rhythm it is, are actually like turning their screen red at night and all these things. But I'm guessing once it reaches a critical mass of like 5%, maybe 10% less, like then it's going to be common knowledge. It's going to be like everybody knows it, duh. And we're going to look back on this time in history of the 1900s up until the 2020, 2030 of how did we not see it sooner? All these scientific studies that are out showing not just an association between blue light and cancer, because associations are not always true, right? But we actually know that the mechanisms by which cancer is more prevalent in those who are circadian disrupted, because blue light reduces our melatonin, and melatonin is our natural anti-cancer. Like we don't need a drug to prevent cancer. We have it. It comes out every single night if we honor the light dark cycles that God or nature intended, right?
Yeah, live the way nature intended, right? That's what I always try to say. And I do think it's becoming like I do see shifts. Like I do see, I shared the clerk at my doctor's my son's eye doctor place, that he wears orange glasses. And every time I see him, I'm like, all right, there's somebody who knows what he's doing, right? Like he's at
Mhm.
least he's doing it. Or like my son will say, so and so, like, gamer is wearing blue blockers now, like,
Mhm.
or like some of my friends moms making her son wear blue blockers now. So like I do hear about it more, so I do know it's getting there, but then sometimes I go to, like, the local stores or something, I'm like, oh no, nobody knows anything. So I go
Nobody
back
knows.
and forth, but I do see like the little dribbles. But yeah, this is what needs to happen. Like we have to make this quantum ripple effect, and like what you're doing with the CRD challenge, and like what a beautiful gift that is, because like you said, it's free. You can join it anytime, I believe, right?
Mhm.
And you can just go ahead and learn this information. Like go do it, right? Like, and then you can just see what happens for yourself. Like you're your own experiment. See what it does. And like I went through it through hardship, right? I was like, oh, I have chronic insomnia, and everybody's like, well, take melatonin, take tryptophan. Who knew I could make my own melatonin? Like nobody told me that. So then when I learned I could, then everything shifted. So it's just people are either going to find it through hardship, like Heather said, or they're going to find it through curiosity, like you, and eventually we'll just keep spreading this word. And I definitely hear more podcasters talking about it. So like it's definitely coming.
It's coming. It's a cool time to be alive, honestly. And
Yeah.
um, Heather, you mentioned one of the things that you thought it was cool that I was kind of asking for advice from God or something greater like the universe, whatever. One cool thing to one kind of benefit of this that I had no idea beyond health was once I got my circadian rhythm in order, um, for the first time in my life since I was maybe under the age of 10, like I had a true belief in God or something greater in this universe. It was just like life became like almost magical again. Like just the fact that um, kind of message for the CRD challenge came to me and it wasn't my idea. It's not like I formulated on pen and paper and I was thinking about it. It came from somewhere else and I knew like it made the hair stand up on the back of my neck and I knew I had to do something with this. Like it was just a knowingness. And that type of thing has never happened to me before. And since that time of getting my circadian rhythm in order, we won't go into any like stories, but there have been many more like synchronicities and kind of like just knowingness that there's uh, divine influence on this earth and everywhere in the universe. It's kind of just a magical thing. It's hard not to believe that there's at least intelligent design, whether you think there was creation or whatever, when you start to realize that we're not just a closed system, the way that the pharmaceutical industry and medical doctors want us to believe, where if anything's wrong with you, it can't have anything to do with your environment unless smoking. That's the only thing they say that it can possibly affect your environment, right? But
Which
other
we
than
used to
that,
not even know, right? We used to think that was fine, right? So like look at that shift, right? You can take that as an example, right? We never thought it was a problem back then. Oh, it's so fine. And they used to promote it, right? Like it was fine. So
right. But once you realize that that's not true and you start looking at the science and you start realizing that how beautiful of a thing is it that human beings can walk outside barefoot and our bodies absorb electrons and it powers our easy water. It expands it like it improves our basically heart rate and our blood pressure and all these things because of our exclusion zone. And while we're just walking barefoot, if there's a blue sky or if it's cloudy above us, if we're just walking upright, our body's designed to take in light energy from above us just from having our eyes open and regulating our entire immune system and hormones and all of this. And, different wavelengths of light affect our body in different ways. All of these things, like, that's beautiful. design. And did that happen randomly over the course of uh, millennia and hundreds of thousands of years? I don't think so. There's something greater at play here. So not to get into all of that, but it's like that's one of the things that just became abundantly clear to me, not just because of the science that I learned, but because of the new way of feeling that inhabited my being once I started living in a circadian aligned way, to where I just felt just at peace, just like
Mhm.
um I don't know, for the past couple decades living working in tech and all this stuff, I feel like my hamster wheel of a brain was always on. As soon as I got up, just turn the phone on. Even if I'm going on a walk or doing something out in nature, it's like sunglasses on, got to be listening to a podcast if I'm not with anybody. Like you always have to be exercising the mind. But now it's almost like I only want to exercise my mind at times that I absolutely have to. And I want all of my day to be spent and just as much of it as possible, just relaxation, or just go sit with a cup of tea on the front porch and just contemplate what I'm going to do that day. And as the sun's coming up, just more appreciation for the beauty of life comes with um, improving your circadian rhythm. And that's not just an anecdotal story of mine, that so many people have experienced that too. And maybe you guys have as well.
Yeah, more connection, more gratitude. Definitely
Yeah.
connecting to something bigger than me, right? That there's a bigger world out there, and it's not just about me, right? Like that also was there for me. But yeah, more connection, definitely way more gratitude for all the little things, and I feel like I can totally relate to like that hustle culture, go life, never stopping, always moving. Like you never like just sit and appreciate the small things because you just never have time to, but it actually aligning your circadian rhythm actually helps you do that because you're like, oh, like I can just be for a minute. And it's like, yeah, huge. Definitely. I love that. You have such a profound shift in everything, just not on the physical, but definitely on the mental, emotional, spiritual. That's just a beautiful story. And yes, I hear it a lot. So it's great.
Yeah.
Well, and then being in that calm place is what really also facilitates healing, that we can't heal when I mean, for people who have more, you look pretty healthy, but people who had a lot of health issues, right? It's hard to heal when you're always in a survival state and you're so disconnected from the frequencies around you, and then you can't be in alignment with the natural rhythm around you, and then your own rhythms are off, and then you're disconnected from your body, right? A lot of people are not really even paying attention to the body sensations, and then you become disconnected from your whole soul and spirit. And this is very dangerous. Like there's an epidemic to me of this happening. And so that's why I love what you were just saying, Jeff, because it's really the way back, to find our way back to ourselves is through being with the nature. And then as our bodies become more coherent, right, in the exclusion zone, water starts to increase, the inflammation goes down, we see things more clearly, we can receive more of messages about what we're supposed to be doing or whatever. I just love it all. Like it all ties together and it's just so exciting.
Yeah, it is really exciting. And it's got me so much more interested in um, things beyond what science even considers to be real. I didn't know we were going to go here, but this is kind of a really cool topic. Have you guys happened to see or listen to the telepathy tapes by chance?
Oh, everyone's talking about it and I still need to get there. And I need to just do that today because it's
You're going
imperative
to
at
hear
this
about it
point.
from
Getting
more
into
and
your
more
field.
people. Every single person I've talked to is like, said it's the most just awe-inspiring, magical
Mm.
thing that they've ever heard. And the only reason I bring that up is because really you talk about, messages or things like that. It makes me sound like a crazy person. I got a message from the Sierra Challenge. But really, once you dive down into it, this is every human being's birthright
Mhm.
to have a connection to something greater than themselves. Like previous civilizations all knew that there was this great beyond, this universal stream of consciousness that they could tap into. Like, you know, things like that are just really interesting to me. And, that's kind of like one of my other projects that I might be starting up soon, is something about, um, just kind of exploring, having people explore the ability to telepathically communicate with other human beings. Like it is a skill that can be harnessed if, like, and I've heard so many stories of people, but we don't have to delve into all that. But that's just, it's, life becomes magical again once you get your circadian rhythm in order. At least it has for me and so many other people I've talked to where it just opens up the idea that like anything is possible, like remote viewing and mediumship and talking to, uh, communing with our dead relatives that have gone before us, things like that. Like that's magical. And that's stuff that I shrugged off as like pseudoscience woo-woo stuff before. And now, I don't know, consider me team woo-woo. Like it's pretty exciting
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, it's cool.
I've been team woo woo for a while, and I think that's a good team to be on because it helps you realize that you're infinite potential and like anything is possible and there are no limitations, right? So to me, that's a beautiful place to be in. I would rather be here than anywhere, but yeah, I think that's really beautiful. Now I'm gonna be so interested to like get into this now.
Oh yeah, yeah. We could have a whole nother podcast just to talk about the telepathy tapes. It's so amazing. And I'm thinking of doing that joint, like having a call within a couple weeks. If you guys finish it by then, just with some quantum circadian friends of mine, we'll have
Yeah,
like kind
I'd love
of
that.
like a
Yeah.
book
that'd be
club
cool.
type thing where we just talk about,
Yes.
because it's freaking amazing. So
Okay. Count
anyway,
me
you
in.
guys are invited.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna go check it out.
We should do a podcast on it, Vanessa, because I mean, I've heard from so many of my favorite people that it's amazing. So I thought I just keep forgetting. So it's time.
Yeah. Always have to have, it has to keep coming back into your field though, right? Like it'll just keep pinging to you. If it's something that you need to do, it'll just
Uh,
keep showing back up, right? It'll just keep showing back in your quantum field. Be like, oh yeah, that thing. Yeah. Okay. Oh yeah, there it comes again. And you're like, until you eventually like, okay, then you actually get involved in it. And then then it's the time. Like then it's the actual time for you to do it. You know what I mean?
right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll come.
So cool. So cool. So, Jeff, I'm wondering, you shared the Parkinson story. Has there been any other stories that you want to share from people who have done the CRD challenge? Any other like insights from the people there that are doing it and what's happened with their health and their lives or that they've shared with you?
Yeah, so like the overall consensus from people that have tried this, that have never heard of this circadian biology stuff before, is that like, oh my gosh, like within a period of a month, they're sleeping so much better, their anxiety levels have gone down, they're just so much more energized throughout the day. That's one of the most common things. One guy got off of his, um, with the help, with the assistance of his doctor, got off of his heart medications from uh, subsequent to his stroke or something. Whatever medications he was on, he got off those statins and whatever else, which, makes sense when you're building your exclusion zone water. You don't need that type of intervention anymore. And, I should have come prepared with 100 other bullet points, but there's so many. Basically, what anybody needs to know that has never heard of the CRD challenge, you sign up, you uh, over the course of 3 weeks, there's 1 week content, course content that is like about 15 minutes long, or no, 20 minutes long or so. And then week 2 is 20 minutes, week 3 is 20 minutes. So that's 60 minutes over the course of 3 weeks, combined with, implementing these strategies daily. It's a challenge. So you're supposed to do these things uh, on a daily basis, and you stack the habits that you learned in week 1 with the ones that you learned in week 2, and then you take the ones from week 3 and you stack those, and it's so easy. We tried to make the educational content just easy to understand for essentially like a seventh grader. It's so any adult, even some grade school kids could understand it too. It's very simple, but basically by the end of that 3 weeks, put it to the test like I did, and you will find that by the end of 3 weeks, Like, yeah, you won't maybe cure your chronic health conditions in that short period of time, but you will notice the benefits. And that's the whole point, is that after the 3-week challenge is up, you will be like I was, and you'll be like, I'm never going back to my circadian disrupted ways of life again. But if you only wear blue blockers one night here and there, and you don't do it consistently over a period of weeks, then you won't feel the difference. So
Yep.
the only way to put
Constant
this to the test is
consistency.
by making it a challenge for, 3 weeks is a sufficient enough period of time that everyone that we've talked to that has taken part in this, that has shared their experience, nobody has said, "Oh, I didn't feel any difference." Everybody has experienced a difference, and then it becomes a commitment. It becomes a lifestyle commitment after that. Do you want to wear blue blockers? Maybe not every night of your life, but like almost like, do you want to make this a consistent practice for the rest of your life for the purpose of reducing your risk of every chronic disease that we're seeing on the planet today, and living longer, essentially? It's like a
Mhm.
guaranteed way to live longer. And we can say that because we're not selling any products. It's a completely free thing. We're not asking for your credit card number to sign up. It's show up, change your life. At the end of it, there's an option that if you want to donate to our charity, we'll help out schools and things like
Mhm.
that, but it's not a prerequisite, and we don't hound people for that. So it's kind of our kind of gift to the world. Like, we felt like something needed to be done for free. There's a lot of courses out there that people are selling for, 200-300 bucks for their circadian reset program. Like, people got to eat, and there's nothing wrong with that. But essentially, all of this information on circadian biology should be for free on the NIH website, on the CDC. It should be out there for free.
Right.
It should not be charged for, you know.
Yep.
It, they,
Self-care 101 is really what I would call it, right? And I think even people don't have like major chronic health issues, they don't realize that they could feel so much better. Because when your circadian rhythm is disrupted, your level of inflammation is higher than you may even realize, right? And so as soon as your sleep starts improving, your inflammation goes down, everything starts to shift, right? Your mood, your hormone function, your digestion, all of these things. And so, excuse me, overcoming a cold, that you want to do the things. Like, I'm the person who I will not leave without my blue blockers. I have a spare in the car. I have, I don't know, 10 or 12 pairs. And this just becomes something you want to do, including, no, I don't really want to go out a lot at night at all. It doesn't really appeal to me anymore because the cost, maybe once in a while, it's fine if I really am drawn to something exciting to do. But on the whole, I'm perfectly happy at home just to be able to be in the dark and go to bed earlier than most people do, because then I can get up in the next morning and feel amazing, right? That's what I want. It's not worth the sacrifice of, you know, of stressing my body out, because it's a stressor to be up with bright light at night to me now. And most people would think, I don't even know what you're talking about. So
Mhm.
you wouldn't know until you experience it.
Yeah, nobody can possibly know. It's like one of those things, we lived this way for the last however many years. Whenever you guys figured it out, before that, you were clueless as well. And so it's one of those hard things. I go back to my dad's or stay at my brother's for Christmas in Kansas City, and they've got every candlelight in their house on completely. Like, it's just, why not? In their minds, just, you want to see, don't you? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to, even if they're 10 minutes from going to bed, just all the lights need to be on just in case. But if they were to go through this protocol for 3 weeks, guarantee they would never want to have their lights on full again. Um,
So
so
what do you do when you go visit? Are you wearing a hat? Do you have
I wear a hat and blue blockers after like a certain time. And
Yeah.
yeah, you get some strange looks for people that don't understand it, but that's part of it. It's kind
I
of,
like the strange looks. I'm like, ask me why.
yeah,
I'll
ask
tell
me
you why.
about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
ask me why. I want you to ask me, because then I can, then I say a bunch of words that they don't understand. And I'm like, okay, wait, I got to slow down. Because I'm like, said
Yeah.
the word autophagy, and they're like, wait, what? I'm like, okay, wait a minute. All right, let me back up. I'm like,
Keep it
you will
simple.
sleep better. I'm like,
Yeah, it's like it's our mission. Like, if we go out to eat at past sunset, not that we do that often, right? But if we do, it's like we need to be wearing the blue blockers just to get that social aspect out there. Like I was saying, like if people see something enough, like you hear about a podcast 20 times, then you maybe start to listen on that 20th time. But the first 2 or 3 times you see somebody with blue blockers, those people are weird, I don't get it. But the 20th time that somebody is wearing them, then it's like, I'm going to start looking into those. So it's
Mhm.
almost like that's our job, for on a social awareness campaign that we're kind of in this life that we are living, that we have to kind of do, is just go to the store at night, go to the grocery store after sunset, like wear the blue blockers, and just maybe someday in a year or two, maybe 5% of the people at the store will be, and then maybe a couple years later, 10% of the store, things
Or
like that.
maybe the stores will be lit with incandescent light bulbs instead.
Ideally, yeah, hopefully that would
Or
be
maybe, I
nice.
mean, I know they couldn't be red or orange. That would be probably too dim for people to actually food shop, but maybe incandescent. It would be a little less, definitely be less jarring.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah, this has been really, really great, Jeff. I'm really excited for all the things that you guys are doing. And I'm wondering, like, what is the plan for the future? Because I know that you guys have Qntmly, what you guys are doing as well. You and Daniel and Avi and Lauren are all doing that. So tell us a little bit more about those plans, what you guys are planning to do.
Yeah, so I think for, like I said, with the CRD challenge, it's one of those things that people can sign up anytime. We launched it in October, and there was a big bolus of people, thousands of people that all signed up at once, and they started that journey together. And then
Mhm.
after that, it's been just kind of a trickle of, a couple more hundred people a month or something since that time that have been joining and doing it kind of at their own pace. And we have that whole community there where they can ask all their burning questions and have discussions and things like that on our school group. But I think we're going to be doing another push, another big recruitment drive in the same way that we did in October. And
Okay.
we're going to be doing that in March, probably around the time of the solstice.
Oh,
So,
perfect.
yeah, so that would be just a great time, just because it also gets people remembering that there are these sun phases that every human being on the planet used to be aware of and live by, that we just are so removed from nature. So we're going to be doing a big recruitment drive in March to recruit more people to the CRD challenge. And, as far as the Qntmly community and things like this, like, basically our Qntmly strategy is still to be determined. We're kind of weighing some options on how best to proceed. We're basically um, developing school content, like for actual schools, that we can deliver to, probably a lot of private schools kind of would be a great opportunity to go towards, because every private school wants to pride themselves on standing out and having the best for their kids and the best health and outcomes for their kids. And what better way to do that than having your school be circadian aligned, teaching them the importance of, if you're going to have your kids on iPads, maybe automatically set it to night shift mode and red color filter mode after sunset, all those kids' devices that you're giving out, things like that, where that's kind of the grassroots movement aspect of this, that we're going to try to um, get to a lot of those schools and develop some programs that we can deliver to them, that they can actually have the kids log in and take part in this, learning as part of their curriculum, because it's truly so important. So there's not any products out there that I know of that, kids are learning this stuff in school in a, kind of carefully controlled way that's targeted towards young uh, kids and young adults. So that's a big part of what we're doing. We don't have anything ready to deliver on that, but it's so exciting. There's so much work to do. It's just like we're trying to go where our energy takes us with what is needed, because I think you all would agree that it's kind of our mission in life, that once you truly recognize the benefits and you feel it firsthand, you feel how much greater of a person, how much more calm, you've lost weight, Vanessa, things like this, just from getting your light environment right, your circadian rhythm. It's like our mission now. Like, how can we possibly just sit by and see people sick and cancerous and inflamed and depressed and all these things, and not try to tell them, like, here, try blue blockers, try getting outside in the morning, try taking a walk in the morning, it's our job. It's our job to convince as many of our fellow humans as possible, because if we were in their shoes, we would want somebody to reach
Right.
out to us, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah. I concur 100%. It's like, I can't stop telling people, I can't stop talking about it, right? I have to tell anybody who asks me, they get a mouthful, because I just can't help it. So that's why I don't mind when people ask me about things like that, because yeah, I'm going to tell you, and it might be in depth, but it's important because we should all know this. And I love that you're targeting the schools, because I think that is going to make the huge shift in humanity, right? If we could shift the schools, right, and shift the children for them to know this information. And then children, like, if they see the difference, they're going to want to do, you know what I mean? They're going
mhm.
to want to feel better, So I think that's a great journey to go towards, or a great mission to move towards, really.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of where we're going with that. I've been talking with, Daniel pretty much every day, and we are just fast friends, and we are, just kind of brainstorming all the time, like, what can we do?
Mm.
It's like this. So we'll see where this 2025 takes us, but it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be alive, just knowing that it's been a cool life so far to get to witness um, society going from no internet and just having to, like, call people on landlines, to having this whole advent of the internet and cell phones, and not just internet on the computer, but internet in our pocket, and all this, the information age. That was really cool. It's going to be even more cool is the light revolution. Once people realize that this is the single most important aspect of health, and it catches on, and that critical tipping point happens to where it's just common knowledge, then there's going to be a huge shift in science funding for different type of light therapies, different type of lighting in homes, different monitors that you can have on your desk that are not blue lit and harming us. Every every city is going to have their going to be racing to have their you know nighttime lighting, their street lights
Yeah.
revamped to have either filters on them that are kind of red or like purplish, how they're doing in some cities. And all of that is going to happen in our lifetimes, and it's going to be an amazing thing to see. And and when that happens, one of the coolest things I think is that we're going to get to witness is the stock prices of pharmaceutical companies are all going to plummet, because
Oh, that
people,
would be
just
lovely.
from having a healthier light environment, are going to not need their horrible side effect laden petrochemicals to swallow or get injected with for
Mhm.
every single chronic health condition. It's a
And
sad,
maybe we can have more homeopathy, right? And more other
exactly.
alternative health methods where we
Bring that all back.
prioritize increasing our health versus just masking symptoms.
Yeah, it's easy to get caught up in the absolute atrocity that our current health system is today, where we don't ask questions. We don't get to the root cause ever. We just prescribe. Here's a pill, swallow it for the rest of your life. That's the idea behind most of these. They don't want to cure anything. When's the last time you've heard of somebody that was depressed and they went on their antidepressants, and then 1 month later they're not depressed anymore and they never need a pill again? That's not the point. The
Nope.
point is to get them needing this thing forever. And so anyway, it's easy to get caught up in the hatred of the current state, but um, it's easy. It's important to just let that be the fuel to our fire, that there has to be a solution towards this inevitable.
Hmm. I think Jeff is frozen.
Hmm. He'll come right back probably.
I
Oh,
can hit.
did I cut
There
There
you
you
out?
are.
are.
We got you. We got you. You're back.
Oh, okay.
Inevitable was the last word we heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's going to be this inevitable resurgence of health once again, where it used to be like before, 1850 and before, where nobody was walking around obese. Nobody was walking around, not like not a huge percentage of people were walking around with cancer, things like this. We're going to get back to that once we have a healthier light environment for humanity. That's a long ways off because that's a huge project, but that's where society is going. So it's just a matter of how can we wake up enough people to where the big names in this, the big money people in this society actually start putting their research dollars and foundational money and things like this into this single most important aspect of human health, which is our circadian rhythm and our light environment, our quantum biology, and all these things. So yeah, I try to focus on that. It's a cool time to be alive, to see that we're gonna slay the evil dragon and not focus on the evil dragon that rules the world right now,
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Not focus on that. I love that, because it's like whatever, we have to put our energy into the love, not the fear, right? Or the love, not the hate, right? That's where the energy needs to flow. And that's what you're doing, right? You're giving a beautiful gift, right? That's how we actually change the trajectory, right? We don't go after that. We just give out the information and the support and the guidance and help, and you be the light, you be the example, and it just grows. Like, I think I love that.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're going for. That's our mission. It's a cool time to be alive for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Jeff, tell people where they can learn more about the CRD challenge, Qntmly, like where do they go, where do they head, and or you or your work, where can they head for all that?
Yeah, so you mentioned earlier that I started the lightenvironment.org. I just want to make a quick note on that. I
Mhm.
haven't done anything with that in, like, maybe I haven't even logged into the website thing or done anything with it in like 5 months, 6 months, because I started that as when I first didn't know how I was ever going to make the CRD challenge work. I'm like, I'm just going where my energy takes me. I guess I got to do this on my own, right? I guess I got to set up this website. I started putting up like anybody who was supporting this mission. I was building out a page of who are the supporters, or affiliates kind of were with that. And I put together like a blue blocking guide and all this stuff. But there's some good information out there for as far as blue blocking guides, but there's nothing that I'm working on currently on the lightenvironment.org website for any purposes. So basically all my attention has been going to the CRD challenge and the Qntmly stuff right now. And that's not just me, that's a partnership with Daniel White and Avi and Jacob Lawrenson. So to answer your question, um, thecrdchallenge.com is where people can go to learn kind of like tip of the iceberg of what it entails. If you've listened to this whole podcast, you maybe don't even, well, you can go there just so you can get the email to direct you to where to sign up for our school group. That's SKOOL. That's our hosting platform where we host the educational content. And right now, I think there's about 3,300 other humans all across the planet who are signed up, and there's good discussions going every single day. You can ask about different lights, different screen apps, different anything you want to know. We're there. It's all completely free, and just our only mission is to get you to realize that greater health awaits once you start improving your circadian rhythm. You can follow us on Instagram at the CRD Challenge. On Facebook, I think you just have to search for the CRD Challenge. Um, I think that's about it. Yeah. Our Qntmly website and other things will be up and coming as they're developed and come to fruition a little bit more. We'll have more to share on that in the future. But yeah, I think that's about it.
And the
Oh,
March new CRD challenge is coming right up. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to be doing a recruitment drive. We're going to try to, I think, encourage every one of the 3,000 people that were already signed up to, maybe it's almost like we have more affiliates now to go and flood their social medias and things like that. Whereas we had, I think, about 150 ambassadors back in October when we launched that were all already had like big audiences in the space, including you guys, right? And so now maybe with this wider audience that can spread this message a little bit further. Maybe our next recruitment drive will be even bigger, hopefully. So we'll see.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited for that. I'm excited
Yeah.
to it's upcoming, for you guys, and stay in contact and just, keep hearing what you guys are doing. So it's awesome work, and it's really a gift to humanity. So it's really beautiful what you guys have created, and it really started with just your idea, right? That's like incredible. Is that one download you got, that one idea, that one ping, you're like, all right, here it comes, and that's beautiful. It's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you so much for
Yeah,
coming
thank
on
you.
and sharing your story, and for doing what you're doing for the world. So we appreciate it.
Appreciate you both. Thank you, Vanessa and Heather.
Thank you.